So tutorial 10D, we're going to look at using the repeat feature in the graphics, which is potentially quite a powerful feature, especially for lower level type maths questions. So just counting type questions is perfectly valid for. So let's actually give that a go. Just try a really simple sort of pre-multiplication counting type exercise. Okay, so we'll do it as a numerical question just to make it even easier to do, and just call it number, and I'll put in this again 20200213J, and we're going to put a diagram in there, and it's simply going to be, the question is going to be how many blocks are there. Okay, so easiest, rather than having 0 to 720, let's just have 0 to 20 and top at say 8, bottom at say 0. And then we're just going to use a repeat function basically to get random number of blocks on the screen. Put the wrong one there. Let's pull this down so we can put our graphics code in, and essentially we're going to use the rectangle feature, and since we go from 0 to 20 and 0 to 8, we're just going to do 0.1, 0.1, 0.9, 0.9. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks fine. Let's make it say blue, so 0,0,255. Let's fill it in. Okay, I'm going to make that a bit lighter so it's clear what the individual blocks are. Okay, so now we want to randomly generate different numbers for how many blocks we're going to have. So calc allows us to just put in some calculations without actually drawing anything. So eval wx equals, let's do wa so we don't get confused with the functions, equals random step 1, comma 10, 1. Okay, so we're going to make it really simple. WB equals random step 1, 8, 1. W, in fact we don't need to do W blank there because we're not going to actually write anything from that. Okay, so update that. That's not going to do anything, so we don't expect that to be a problem. But now, okay, we want to repeat this for WA times and for WB times so that we get lots of graphs across here. But if we just do that, it's going to draw them all in the same place. Okay, so we're going to do rectangle 0.1 plus WA, and it's going to go to, sorry, plus WI1, and that is also going to be plus WI1. That is going to be plus WI2, and that is going to be plus WI2. The reason for that is because the syntax for the repeat function is very specific. So we repeat from one number, sorry, repeat from 1 to the first value, and from 1 to the second value, and from 1 to the third value. And the first number is the value that I1 goes, the second number is the value that I2 goes, and the third number is the value that WI3 goes. Okay, so the repeat statement just gives you, in that case, just gives you 3 loops. Okay, it's actually limited to 3 parameters, and we always use these parameters. So it's actually a very simple thing. It's quite, in a sense, it doesn't seem that flexible, but it actually does everything you need it to do. So all we now do is put in repeat, and it's going to be eval because we need to work out the value WA, comma eval WB, and that doesn't work. And it doesn't work because of course we need to evaluate these expressions. Okay, we can't just write them in like that, or we're not giving the instruction to WIZZKWIZ to actually do the evaluation. So eval, let's just copy that to there, and then copy /eval to there, and there. Then try update. Okay, and we now get a slightly different issue. Okay, so in this case we've got WA randomly generated, WB randomly generated. Let's click it again. Okay, and each time we get a different set of blocks. Now you might notice, and hopefully you can see why, we're no longer in this, starting in this bottom corner, which is a bit of a problem because we can go up to 8. Okay, and that goes up to 8, so we could go off the screen with some of them. That's just a bit of basic algebra, so that needs to, instead of going from 0.1 to 0.9, or we could just take 1 off each of these values, because what repeat does is go from the values from 1 up to WA. Okay, so that needs to be -1, that needs to be -1, that needs to be -1, that needs to be -1. Okay, so now all the blocks that we've got to count are on the screen. Okay, so how many blocks are there? The answer then, eval again, is just W answer equals, you don't have to put W answer in, you could just do WA times WB, A times WB. We're not going to display accuracy. We're going to assume people are going to do it exactly. And test question. Let's have a look. 40, so that is 8 by 5. Yeah, that looks about right. 70, that is 10 by 7. Yep. 4, 7. Yep. And 10 by 2, 20, 4. Yep. So obviously a very simple question, and you could build this up with different coloured blocks as well. So you could do something like a full sort of Questionnaire log blocks type question. But let's just check we put some keywords in. Yeah, and submit question there. So that's 3295. Ask question. How many blocks are there? I think there are 7. We've got that right. How many blocks? Well, I know it's 8 high, so it's 8 times 3, so it's 24. This sort of exercise for very young children, they're going to start off by counting them all, and hopefully after a while, or perhaps with a bit of prodding, they realise, you know, they can learn the table. So once they know it's 6 times 5, then they can kind of look up that it's 30. So you know, you can introduce people to the tables by seeing it as a shortcut. So you don't have to do the hard yards of all the counting. You can just use your tables to work it out. Okay, so there you go. That's how to use the repeats facility. Very, very easy to do. Just have a look at that question again, just to remind you how easy that is to do. Okay, so all repeat is that. Okay, so it's really quite easy to set up that kind of question. Okay, so that's the end of that tutorial, and that covers all the graphic stuff we need to cover in the tutorials. So everything you need to be able to do, you should now be able to do.